not a suggestion or a footnote. It's the very First Amendment of the Constitution.
Jimmy Kimmel returns tomorrow night following his suspension over comments about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Today, ABC said it was reinstating Kimmel less than a week after a monologue suggesting conservatives were trying to capitalize on Kirk's killing. Those comments led to a backlash and heated debate about free speech. Today, more than 400 actors and artists, including some Hollywood A-listers, signed a letter from the ACLU pushing ABC to bring the show back. The FCC says Kimmel's suspension came at the request of local affiliates and was not due to political pressure. ABC's parent company, Disney, said leaders felt some of the comments by Kimmel were, quote, ill-timed and thus insensitive. Disney also says they have spent the last few days having thoughtful conversations with Kimmel, and that is why they decided the show will return. But while most ABC stations will be airing Jimmy Kimmel live, Sinclair Broadcasting said tonight its stations across the country will be preempting the show across its affiliates and replacing it with news programming. The company is in discussions right now with ABC about the future of Kimmel's show. Now, before ABC announced that Kimmel's show was returning, protesters gathered outside of the Dolby Theater in Hollywood today, calling for him to be reinstated. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez spoke with supporters who are thrilled about the return of Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Jimmy Kimmel's coming back tomorrow.
Word getting out outside Hollywood's El Capitan Theater, ABC has reinstated Jimmy Kimmel Live.
I'm just so, I'm gonna cry.
I'm excited that people are still exercising their rights. It makes it worth it.
You're about to cry. It's that emotional.
I'm so damn proud of LA.
This group was part of a much larger pro-Kimmel rally earlier.
The reason that this should concern all Americans is that this administration's actions could threaten speech from both conservatives and liberals.
A who's who of state and local politicians joined by several unions in support of Kimmel, even as counter-protesters tried to interrupt.
Even now, there are people who want to drown out our voices.
LAPD stepping in to stop skirmishes between supporters and critics. Tourists taking it all in. Are they talking about this in Germany? Do they know about this?
I saw it on TikTok. But in Germany,
presidents know how this goes.
She's one of the first female late-night comedy writers.
When I was working on The Tonight Show and on Letterman, we were doing jokes about Clinton and Bush all the time, but these guys are big boys and they know how to take it. And that was another era, so here we are.
Jimmy is coming back tomorrow. I am so just ecstatic for Jimmy, his crew.
They're excited but cautious.
I don't want us to lose momentum because this isn't the end.
And you can see the tickets already available for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here in Los Angeles through oneahora.com. The Jimmy Kimmel Live show is back on. I'm Christina Gonzalez in Hollywood, Fox 11 News.
The man suspected of shooting into the ABC station in Sacramento was in federal court late today. Over this past weekend, Anibal Hernandez Santana was arrested on federal charges after initially facing state charges. Police say he fired into the lobby of the ABC 10 TV station on Friday. Federal prosecutors said today a note referencing members of the Trump administration was found in his car after his initial release on bail. That note allegedly had references to Jeffrey Epstein, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi.
When you're looking to put a case together, you're always looking at circumstantial evidence. And what we found, frankly, at his house, the police did, was there was a calendar that was stuck to the refrigerator, like one of those magnets. And on the date of September 19th, the date of the shooting, he wrote on the calendar, "Do the next scary thing."
Hernandez Santana's attorney says he believes federal investigators are holding his client right now because his social media activity was critical of the Trump administration.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love and always love.
Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, delivered that stirring speech at his memorial service on Sunday in Arizona, less than 2 weeks after the influential conservative activist was shot and killed during an event at Utah Valley University. President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance were among those who also spoke at Kirk's service, as tens of thousands of loved ones and supporters all gathered to remember his life and legacy. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the latest tonight from Arizona.
President Trump and members of his cabinet spoke about Charlie Kirk's faith and political work during the 5-hour service, which also became a rally for Republican unity. Thousands worshiping inside State Farm Stadium Sunday as they paid their respects to Charlie Kirk. President Trump headlined the event, calling Kirk a martyr for American freedom.
The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us.
Kirk's wife, Erica, gave perhaps the most moving speech of the evening. She spoke about the heartbreaking moment she saw her husband's body at the hospital in Utah.
I also saw on his lips the faintest smile. When I saw that, it told me Charlie didn't suffer.
And later she said this about his suspected killer.
That young man, I forgive him.
Even just talking about it right now with you, man,
emotional.
Really emotional.
Yeah.
Really emotional.
About 90,000 people gathered in 2 venues in Arizona, and millions watched online. Vice President J.D. Vance, a close friend of Kirk, urged the packed stadium to use his legacy as a way to usher in a new chapter for conservatives.
We will remember that it is better to stand on our feet defending the United States of America and defending the truth than it is to die on our knees.
Over the weekend, the FBI vowed to pursue every question and theory related to Kirk's assassination. In Phoenix, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
And following Kirk's memorial, Turning Point USA kicked off a new tour. That tour started tonight at the University of Minnesota. It is sold out. Speakers on the tour will include Kirk's widow, Erica, along with conservative commentators Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Michael Knowles. That tour will close out at UC Berkeley on November 10th. Utah Valley University is launching an independent review into the on-campus shooting that killed Charlie Kirk. The university announced it has hired a third-party group to examine exactly what happened and how security was handled for that event. Only 6 campus police officers were assigned to that September 10th event, raising questions about preparedness. Utah Valley University says this review will help improve safety on campus and across higher education in Utah. Tonight, authorities have identified the 4 service members who died in a helicopter crash in western Washington last week. Those fallen soldiers were identified as Andrew Cully, Andrew Krause, Donovan Scott, and Jadalyn Good. Scott and Good were both from Washington. The 4 were part of the elite team called Night Stalkers. They were in a helicopter that crashed near Joint Base Lewis McChord last week. The cause of that crash is under investigation. The Army released a statement that reads, in part, quote, their sacrifice in service to our nation will forever be etched in our hearts and in the legacy of the Night Stalkers. These heroes were not only elite professionals, but also cherished teammates, friends, and family members whose absence leaves an immeasurable void. Crews were involved in a major cleanup earlier today on a Colorado freeway after a FedEx truck started leaking hydrochloric acid. Authorities say that truck was heading to Wyoming along I-25 in Thornton this morning when the driver noticed something leaking out of one of those box trailers. The driver pulled over and called for help. First responders arrived at the scene and found about 50 to 75 gallons of hydrochloric acid leaking from the truck. Crews were able to stop the leak and then work to neutralize it. They say the spill appears to be relatively small.
This is a commercial grade acid compound. They use it a lot in the mining industries for as a solvent to break things down. It's commonly transported. It's not that big of a, in the commercial world, not that big of a problem.
Authorities say a freeway off-ramp remains shut down tonight as hazmat crews continue to clean up from that spill. Still ahead tonight on West Coast Wrap, fear and confusion about a new policy for H-1B visa applicants. Why business leaders in Silicon Valley say this could have a devastating impact. Plus, a reminder about earthquake preparedness after a strong early morning quake woke people up across the Bay Area.
And in weather, here's a live camera looking out towards San Francisco and the Bay. A bit of a warm-up for parts of the West Coast. We'll have more of the heat coming up after the break.
Tonight, there is fear and concern in Silicon Valley after a policy change for new H-1B visa applicants, as they will now have to pay a $100,000 fee. Right now, H-1B visas allow companies to hire highly skilled foreign workers. KTVU's Ann Rubin explains how the new fee could have big implications for the thousands of visa holders.
Big tech companies are amongst the biggest users of the H-1B visa. It allows companies like Amazon, Apple, and Google to bring in highly skilled workers from abroad. But a new Trump policy aims to encourage hiring here at home by making those visas very expensive. He's tacking on a $100,000 fee, meaning the companies will now have to pay top dollar for top talent.
So if they have somebody they would like to add on the payroll, now $100,000 would be a big obstacle.
The change has been met with fear and confusion. Even though the fee will only impact new visas, some current H-1B holders were afraid to leave the country, delaying a flight out of SFO, as seen here on Instagram. And in Silicon Valley, business leaders say this could have a devastating impact, especially on fast-moving sectors like AI.
We can't turn off the H-1B visa overnight. Our culture, our communities, and our education systems are not ready to take that load.
A strong domestic workforce is something we all very much support. We just don't have enough of the STEM talent within our country right now to power our innovation economy.
Immigration experts fear if the best and brightest can't come to the U.S., those jobs will move elsewhere.
This is going to make it harder for people to come here, full stop. It is going to make it harder for American companies to compete for talent in what is very much a global race for talent. It is going to lead to larger companies moving operations abroad.
Not everyone agrees. Reed Hastings, CEO of Netflix, posted on X, Trump's $100,000 per year tax is a great solution. It will mean H-1B is used just for very high-value jobs, which will mean no lottery needed and more certainty for those jobs. But whether this will help hiring at home, experts are skeptical.
There's only about 730,000 H-1B visa holders in the United States right now. So you can see just from those numbers that there really is a very small percentage of these workers in the U.S., so that the argument that's being made that this is impacting American jobs, it just doesn't add up when you look at the evidence.
Again, current H-1B visa holders are not supposed to be impacted by the change. This only applies to new visas. It took effect yesterday. In Cupertino, Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Today, President Trump warned pregnant women not to take acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol, citing an unproven link to autism in children. The president made that announcement today at the White House. Scientists have studied a possible connection for years, but findings had been inconclusive. Acetaminophen has been considered one of the few safe options to treat pain or fever during pregnancy. However, doctors have long cautioned against prolonged use.
Taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary.
The maker of Tylenol, Kenvue, says acetaminophen is the safest pain reliever option for pregnant women, and that research shows no credible link to autism. This week, President Trump is expected to sign a new deal to keep TikTok operating in this country, giving a group of U.S. investors control over the app's algorithm and security. That joint venture is being led by Oracle and investment firm Silver Lake. The proposal is to keep user data in a trusted cloud in the U.S., removing foreign influence. The White House has spent years trying to gain control of TikTok's U.S. operations from its China-based parent company ByteDance over national security concerns. Oracle will provide app security in the U.S., operating a form of the algorithm outside of ByteDance's control.
They're going to get a copy of the code from the Chinese for some fee. Then they're going to go in and strip out all of the spyware and guarantee to members of Congress, of which there are many China hawks, that they can monitor every packet of information leaving the server and say where it's going.
The ownership transfer is designed to be seamless, meaning TikTok users shouldn't have to download a new version of the app. Two AI powerhouses based in the Bay Area are teaming up for a massive data center build-out. Nvidia is making a $100 billion investment into OpenAI, allowing them to build and deploy at least 10 gigawatts of Nvidia systems for its AI data centers. They will train and run its next generation of models. The Wall Street Journal reports that that amount of electricity is roughly comparable to what's produced by more than 4 Hoover dams, or the power consumed by 8 million homes. And this partnership boosted the markets today. The Dow was up by 66 points, the S&P up by 29, and the Nasdaq was up by 157 points during the trading session. Waymo says it's working with Lyft now to bring its self-driving taxis to Music City. Starting in 2026, people in Nashville will be able to book the driverless cars through the Waymo and Lyft apps. Under the new collaboration, Lyft will be responsible for daily operations, including maintenance and charging the cars. The move will expand Waymo's operations to a total of 6 cities. Waymo says it plans to add Washington, D.C. and Miami to that list soon. Well, people across the Bay Area were jolted awake early this morning by a 4.3 magnitude earthquake. That quake struck just before 3 a.m. with the epicenter in Berkeley. Damage was minimal. A jar knocked off a shelf at a shop in Berkeley and a broken window at a butcher shop nearby. The shaking, though, did prompt BART to slow down trains for track inspections, which did lead to some minor delays. The U.S. Geological Survey reported several smaller aftershocks.
Something called an aftershock forecast. And there's something like about a 3% chance from this earthquake, about a 3% chance over the next week of having an earthquake somewhat close to the size that we had today, and about a 25% chance of having a magnitude 3 earthquake in the next week.
And officials say today's quake is a timely reminder to be prepared. The Great Shakeout Drill is set to take place next month on October 16th. That's when people all across California will be getting a shake alert on their mobile device as part of an earthquake readiness test. All right, for more, let's bring in now our chief meteorologist for KTVU, Mark Tamayo. Mark, did you feel the shaking early this morning?
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely a big jolt out there, as you would expect with that size of a quake. And I will say there's just an aftershock within the past hour, magnitude 3.0, so that's a sizable aftershock in the area. So this is the map from the USGS. People can report just what they experienced with the quake, and you can see quite a few responses on this map here. Nearly 31,000 responses leading to the coverage on this map here. So that early morning quake, a lot of people feeling in the San Francisco Bay Area. Now, as we take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow, this is a particular forecast model. We're tracking some smoke that could impact the forecast up in the Pacific Northwest. A lot of wildfire activity, and some of that smoke could impact air quality for tomorrow. Here's a look at the satellite and the radar. As you can see, a fairly quiet weather pattern, except out toward Denver. Look at all this coverage here on the radar, and there's a good chance of some more rain and the possibility of some thunderstorms in the forecast for Tuesday. But out across the West Coast radar, it's fairly quiet. But as we take this into Tuesday night and Wednesday, that could be changing for parts of central and northern California, with maybe some more shower chances back in their forecast. In Seattle today, temperature is 71 degrees. Once again, some haze in their forecast for tomorrow. And then out toward the San Francisco Bay Area, warmer day for San Francisco, 74 degrees, and we're expecting some 80s for tomorrow for the Bay Area. Out toward Los Angeles, temperatures in the upper 80s earlier this afternoon. So if we show you this, as you can see, current numbers out there, Phoenix is 88 degrees, Las Vegas in the upper 80s, 74 in Portland, and Seattle checking in 66 degrees right now. Here's the plan for tomorrow. Some haze up in Seattle, a hot weather forecast for San Francisco for the Bay Area. It's warm to hot in Southern California, some sunshine out toward Phoenix, and once again that rain will continue out toward Denver. Some more areas for you, as you can't pick out on this map here. Olympia, Washington, 79. San Jose in the Bay Area, 94 degrees, but the inland spots could be approaching 102 degrees out toward Concord. Santa Clarita, Palmdale in the mid-90s. You can see the triple-digit heat out toward Scottsdale, 102 degrees. So it's interesting. Scottsdale is going to equal that forecast high in the Bay Area, 102 degrees for tomorrow afternoon. As you can't see the forecast model, once again, it's picking up on some rain showers out toward Denver. There is a circulation out here in the Pacific, and that could lead to some shower chances for the Bay Area out toward the Central Coast. That could be by Wednesday. So it's interesting, talking about some heat for tomorrow, and then by Wednesday, cooling conditions, and also that possibility of some scattered rain showers and some thunderstorms. So here's the forecast over the next few days. Seattle will be in the 70s. San Francisco tomorrow will be the warmest day of the stretch, and then maybe some shower and thunderstorm chances by Wednesday. Los Angeles in the 80s, approaching in the upper 80s. You can see the triple-digit heat out toward Phoenix. And Denver tomorrow only in the 50s with rain in their forecast. So some areas cooling off, other areas definitely heating up in the Tuesday forecast, Alex.
All right, Mark, thank you. Still to come tonight here on West Coast Wrap, the 49ers lose their best defensive player for the season. The tall task for the team moving forward as they try to fill Nick Bosa's shoes. Also making history, how NASA's latest astronaut class ended up doing something that's never been done before. All right, welcome back here. Your NFC West report tonight. The 49ers moved to 3-0 on Sunday with a big win against their NFC West rivals, the Arizona Cardinals. But the win came at a cost. The Niners lost edge rusher Nick Bosa for the season after he tore his ACL in his right knee. Bosa came out of the game late in the first quarter, went to the locker room, and did not return. He's given the thumbs down there. MRIs show it's a clean tear, but he will require surgery for it. Bosa was off to a strong start this season with 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Teammates say filling his shoes is going to be tough.
Cliche to say it's the next man up league. When you lose a guy like that, you need 3 or 4 guys to come and fill those shoes. So I think we got the depth and we got the youth. So, hopefully they can continue to improve.
This is the second time since the start of his NFL career that Bosa has torn his ACL. Back in 2020, he tore the ACL in his left knee during a Week 2 win against the Jets. There's no word yet on when he's expected to undergo surgery or the timeline for a full recovery. Across the NFC West, the Rams were stunned by the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles after their attempt at a game-winning field goal was blocked and returned for a touchdown by Eagles defensive lineman Jordan Davis. An incredible scene. The Rams at one point in this game had a 26-7 lead in the second half before falling in this one 33-26. LA falls to 2-1 on the season. They will be hosting the Colts coming up on Sunday. And finally tonight, NASA introduced their newest astronauts, and for the first time, there were more women than men in a NASA astronaut class.
She's a geologist who worked on the Curiosity Mars rover and Artemis 3 science team. Originally from Sammamish, Washington, Lauren Edgar.
The group of 10 scientists, engineers, and test pilots were selected from a pool of more than 8,000 applicants. They'll be exploring the moon and possibly Mars. The new astronauts will undergo 2 years of training before they're eligible for space flight. Acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy said one of them may end up making history as the first person to step on Mars. Congratulations to all of them. And that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. And a quick reminder here, you can stay up to date on the big stories we're covering across the West at westcoastwrap.com. We'll leave you with a gorgeous shot here of downtown San Francisco. Have a great night.